All right, welcome everyone. Welcome to On Your Office, Iru. Welcome London Up Iru regulars, new people. Great to see you all. Obviously, first of all, thanks to my employer for both paying me and for covering the event tonight. It's great to have everyone here and great to be able to host. So we've got a nice one this evening. Weldon, talking about passkeys, in case you couldn't tell by the title. Steve, covering some personal development around LinkedIn. And a bit of a retrospective of the last 10/11 years of London Apple admins. So first of all, I'm going to hand over to Weldon. Okay. Cheers.
Hi. Let me try my microphone here on the laptop. Hopefully that'll work. And then I can share my screen. Hey, all right, good. So thanks for all for coming. It's always great to be at these events. I try to mention this every time I'm speaking somewhere, but I have been a Mac admin for over 30 years, right? My career started at university managing a Mac lab and the next lab. And I did spend a decade in wireless telecom, kind of wandering in the wilderness, but I've been back doing Apple endpoint management as my focus for a while. It's been a while, but the thing I love about the Mac community is these kinds of events and the way that people are very generous in sharing what they know and helping each other, kind of lifting each other up. I have worked for Microsoft, right? I don't have any animosity towards the other side, but I have worked for Microsoft Consulting Services. I've worked for Cisco. I've worked for and I've worked for Apple, right? And in all my experiences, right, I've not found an analogous community like we have in the Mac admin space anywhere else in tech, right? And so it's always a great privilege to be with other like-minded people. And in that spirit, I have some things to share about passkeys. I'd love to tell you all about Iru and the name change and what we've done with Kanji and what we've become and show you our products, but I'm going to spare you all of that tonight. I will just tell you a little bit about the name, just so you have some inside information that you can use and keep in your back pocket when you run out of interesting things to say at a cocktail party, right? You can pull this nugget out. So when we were picking the name 6+ years ago, right, we put a whole bunch of words on a whiteboard and listed them out and thought about what we wanted to name the company. And one of the terms that was up there was Iru Kanji. And the Iru Kanji jellyfish is a tiny little thing. It's like 1 or 2 centimeters across that's found in Australia, and it's incredibly venomous. It's this really tiny thing that packs a powerful punch. And we had that word up there, and we thought, well, it's kind of long, and we're not sure about the association, whatever, but kanji sounds nice. And so we pulled that out, and we used that, and turns out it didn't mean anything weird in another language. It wasn't anything sexual, right, that would be misinterpreted. And so we got the domain name and we chose Kanji as the name of the company. But when we got to the moment that we're at now, where we wanted to signal a shift in what we were doing and kind of larger ambitions about who we wanted to be and where we were going, we decided to change the name. And we kind of went back to the well and thought, well, Iru was kind of nice, right? And so we pulled that out and we've made that our new name. And that's why we've changed the logo now to a jellyfish, right? We were the bee, now we're the jellyfish. Now, someone has made a joke about choosing mascots that are quite painful and harmful to other people, right? And that's not intentional, right? We do like the idea of maybe a small thing that's quite productive and busy and helpful and is maybe punches above its weight, but the venomous, poisonous part of it is not, we could kind of set that to the side, right? But enough of that. Let me tell you a little bit about passkeys. So first off, passwords are bad. That is the big takeaway from this whole presentation. We'll talk about why, but attackers are not going to stop. Public key cryptography turns out to be the foundation of building a better solution to passwords, which shows up in passkeys, WebAuthn, and CTAP, which are the core technologies that are used in passkeys. They're quite nifty and they do interesting things. So passwords, why Why are passwords bad?
Visual.
They're phishable. So it's something you know. So someone can ask you to divulge what you know, right? That's one key. Also, if you're filling them into a form, right, there's ways to trick people into filling out the password in a form that's, you know, the wrong place. What else?
Weak.
They're weak. How do you make them stronger? Complexity rules, right? Around the bits of entropy. Lengths make them longer. What happens when you make them more complex and you make them longer? You can't remember them. So passwords are based on something you know. You've just now made it harder to know the thing that you're meant to remember, right? So there's a bunch of problems here with passwords. So the key methods of attack are brute force, a data breach, or social engineering. Social engineering is the phishing part we've just talked about. A data breach, right? It's a shared secret. I know my password, but the service I'm working with, they also know my password. So, you know, what's more likely, that some nation state attacker is going to target me, or are they going to target a service provider that I work with and millions of other people work with, right? They're going to target the service provider if they can get into their password database and decrypt all the passwords. Now they have my password. Now they have millions of other people's passwords. Now, from there, they got an email address and a known password. It's quite easy to automate an attack where you try that combination of username and password against a whole bunch of other sites, and maybe you get into banking and, you know, financial services and all kinds of other things off of that one data breach. Do people reuse their passwords?
No, never.
Yeah, never. Okay, good. Yeah, you've encountered a type of user that I've never met in the web. The last one is brute force. This is probably the least likely, right? Most hardware today has built-in rate limiting mechanisms to prevent someone from trying variations of password over and over again on the same device. You might have seen like the functionality in an iPhone where you put in the wrong PIN code, it says, wait a minute. You do that a few more times, now it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour, a day. So that sort of naturally prevents you from being able to brute force a PIN code on a phone. Same kind of mechanisms are built into macOS and Windows and other places that make this less likely, but it's also incredibly hard. So here's a chart of what it would take using a relatively powerful system with 12 relatively modern NVIDIA GPUs to brute force crack a password. You can see as you go across here, even if you're only using lowercase letters, if you get up to 16 characters, it's going to take 12 billion years to go through at least half of the permutations that are available. So the idea is the average time to crack is half of the problem set. It's going to be 12 billion years. It could be longer, it could be shorter, right? It's a bit random there, but on average, 12 billion years. It's not really a problem if the passwords are long enough. So it is a good idea to teach users to use a passphrase, right? A couple words. It could be all lowercase. You don't need special characters and all this. If you just make it long, it's not susceptible to brute force attack, but the other ones still exist, right? A breach on the other side, because it's a shared secret, the possibility that the user gets tricked into sharing their password, those issues still exist. Okay, now, my father called me. My dad is 89 years old. He's pretty capable. He's good with the computer, but he called me up because he thought he had called Epson to get some help with his printer, but now that person that he reached on the phone was screen sharing with his computer and had asked him for payment in order to continue the conversation. And that's when he rang me up. And it's like, no, Dad, this is a scam, right? You need to hang up, disconnect your computer from the internet, and we'll sort this out. I said, okay, all right. So I got back to him, got everything sorted. He's okay. Just, I know you were worried there for a minute. He's all right. We got that sorted. And he said, okay, I got one more question for you. Amazon's asking me to set up a passkey, right? Should I do that? I said, well, Dad, have you got 30 minutes? Because I got a slide presentation that I could share with you to explain it. So we're going to talk about why passkeys are better. A big one here is the social engineering part. So 93% of all cyber attacks include phishing as a component. It may not be like the one piece that is responsible for the breach itself, but almost all cybersecurity attacks include phishing as a component, trying to get credentials. All right. So how do passkeys address this? First of all, there is no shared secret between yourself and the service that you're talking to. Okay, we're using public key cryptography, asymmetric key pairs that work together to encrypt and decrypt information that's passed back and forth. When I mint a new passkey, I keep half of the key, which we call the private key. Okay, I keep that half to myself, and I share the other half, which we would call the public key, with the service. Now, it's not really public in the same sense that like SSL or TLS is public. When you visit a website, you ask them to give you the public key, right? And they provide you with that half of the key. Then you use it to sign a message back to them. If they can decrypt it, you know they have the other half of the key, right? In this scenario, I mint the key, I hand the public part to the other service, and that's the end of the exchange. The public key doesn't move again after that moment. The other service holds it, I have my side of it. Now, when we exchange messages, if I sign a message that they can read, they know it was signed with the other half. If they send me a message that I can decrypt with my half of the key, I know it was signed with the public one that I had handed them originally. On top of that, the endpoint that you're speaking to is hard-coded into the passkey. Okay, so when I send this message, I'm sending it to a known URL, a known endpoint. And if I get the correct response, I know I'm talking to the right spot. So it provides some additional layers of protection beyond like DNS spoofing and other kinds of things that can happen, right? To know that I'm talking to the right service with the right keys and all of that. It's phishing resistant. So if I get the classic phishing attack is you get an email that looks an awful lot like an invoice, log into your PayPal account in order to review this before it gets paid or money gets removed from your bank account or whatever. And you go to a fake site that looks exactly like your bank or like PayPal or something else. Okay. Because the passkey exchange is tied to a specific URL, okay, your browser won't interact with it, okay, for one. But two, you're not sending any secrets over the wire. Okay, so there's no secrets that are being sent out that could be intercepted and reused. And lastly, they're hardware protected. So on Apple, that's Secure Enclave. On Windows, it's TPM2. On Android, it's Secure Element. But there are hardware features that protect your half, the private part of the key, that protect it and make it so that you have to use biometrics to unlock the key and have access to it to use it. Now, we'll get to this in a moment, but the communication between, let's say, a web browser and the secure element, that is also protected, right? So the browser itself does not have access to the private key. I'll show an illustration, but let's leave it at that for now. Okay, the software that's running on top of your Mac or Windows or Android cannot directly access the key. So there's no way for it to be compromised through that mechanism. The operating system and the connection to the hardware protections prevent that from happening. Okay. All right. So we've talked about this for a long time. Like security involves a couple elements. Something you know, something you have, right? But now that's been modified. Something you have and something you are. So the thing you have is a trusted device that holds the passkey. Something you are is the biometrics, Face ID, Touch ID that unlock that key. Now, it could also include something you know, like a password or a PIN code, right? Those could be included as well and layered on top of this to provide more protection. I already mentioned this. Sorry, repeating myself. This is I borrowed some diagrams from the internet, right? So, but here's what's happening. When you talk to the relying party, the website that you're trying to auth into, it sends a challenge back. The web browser, the piece of software that's doing the authentication on your side, it sends that challenge to the hardware element and says, can you sign this with the private key, right? It returns the signed message. So this is the bit where the software here never sees the key. It just conveys the challenge on to the hardware element. And that's the CTAP protocol. The signed challenge comes back. Now the web browser can present the signed response back to the website that then authenticates you as the correct user. Here's just a slightly different flow here, but it involves, it just shows the interaction of the PIN and biometrics. So this is something Microsoft has on their site, but it kind of clearly shows, okay, we've got the private key that's held in hardware. The service that we're talking to, they hold the public key. Being able to sign the challenge and verify that it was signed by the other half of the key pair makes this whole process work. Cool. This, now I've forgotten what the difference was between these. Oh, device-bound passkeys and software-based or syncable passkeys. So there's two different implementations. A device-specific passkey never leaves that device. It is bound to a specific device. That's quite useful. It's very secure. The problem with it is that it's not very friendly, right? It's a bit of a hassle to deal with because now you've got to generate new passkeys on every single device. And if you generate it somewhere else, like you can't sign in from another device until you authorize or approve or mint a new passkey on the second device. So there is an opportunity to sync passkeys across devices. Now, in the Apple implementation of syncable passkeys, the passkey does move from one device to another. But the way that it does that is protected by iCloud keychain through that entire process. So the unencrypted, a passkey in essence, the key itself is just a string of text, right? That's the most basic element. That unencrypted string of text is never persisted to disk. So it is impossible to read it from the disk at any point in this process. It never leaves the secure enclave processor. So it's not held in RAM where the system could access a rogue process. Even if you were to crack the kernel on the operating system, you cannot read the unencrypted passkey out of system memory. Okay, it is only decrypted and it's only usable inside the RAM that is part of the secure enclave itself. Okay, so the secure enclave with its hardware keys, right, decrypts the private part of the passkey and uses it, signs the message. All of that happens inside the secure enclave chip itself. So the communication in and out of it never includes the unencrypted passkey. When it goes to iCloud keychain, right, the iCloud, your iCloud account encryption and the device encryption are entangled together. And so when the passkey is transmitted to iCloud keychain, it is encrypted through that whole chain, the whole chain of custody. Okay. When it arrives on your other device, that device's hardware keys and the iCloud keychain encryption keys that are part of your Apple account, right, are also entangled together so that it can securely pass from iCloud to your other device. All right. There's some web. This is just meant to show, like, there's some web methods that are invoked so that a website can mint a new key or ask for a new key to be minted. That gets passed to the secure enclave with CTAP again. And the key pair is generated. We hold the private key. We send the public key on. So another view, the same thing during the auth process, right? Just the CTAP includes like the JavaScript function in order to call this, which invokes all this hardware action. Okay. From the platform itself, the signed response gets presented back, and now you're authenticated. Yet another diagram. Again, just trying to make sure the idea gets across here, but there's a login request. The challenge is sent from the website back to the browser. The browser asks the hardware to sign the challenge. You get that signed response back. It's presented back to the website, and now you're authenticated and in. Okay. Here's a view of what this looks like. You might have seen this before. How are you going to do it? Like a hardware security key, like a YubiKey, or are you going to use a passkey that's held on the device? If the passkey is on a second device, like if the passkey is on my phone, then I can scan this QR code. That does a couple things. It opens a connection from my phone to the website. The challenge comes to my phone. It's signed by my phone, and the signed response is sent back. So that the passkey is not moving between my phone and my, say my laptop in this example. Okay. The phone holds my passkey, the secure enclave on the phone is still hardware protected. The challenge gets signed here and the response gets sent back. What things are required for this to happen? Obvious one is internet, right? Because the devices have to talk to the website. But what else is required?
Bluetooth.
Bluetooth. Why? Okay. No, this is good. So the Bluetooth connection between my phone and the computer is not required for data exchange. What it's required for is to establish proximity. Okay. So that I couldn't use a screenshot of this QR code and get it on a Zoom call with someone in a remote location or whatever that would use it. Okay. It's using Bluetooth to check that my phone, which holds the passkey, and the computer that's asking for authentication are physically near each other as another layer of protection to make sure the passkey is not being misused. Okay. Now, I still need to use my biometrics to make all this happen and whatnot, but it's just an additional check here. One thing that we could do is just kind of see some of this in action. Apologies to the folks on the web. I'm not sharing the screen, but I'm not going to pause. Sorry, but I've gone to webauthn.io, which is just an industry site that's meant to illustrate this as kind of a playground or a sandbox, right, to test this. So if I put in my name here and hit register, what you'll see is 1Password again is really aggressive with the Chrome plugin or the Safari plugin. Yeah, I realized that. Oh, it's not. Oh, yeah, you're not going to see it too. Okay, all right. Let me. I will take a moment to fix that. Okay, so now you can see it. 1Password is aggressive about it, and if I say no, thank you. It'll show me the authenticators that are registered on the device. So it's using these platform APIs to say, okay, these are the registered authenticators that could mint a passkey and participate in this. You've got Iru on here. I'm going to use the native passwords app. So I use my biometrics. It will mint a new passkey. It holds the private part in the secure enclave, or it's protected by the hardware keys of the secure enclave, and the public key has been transmitted to this site. So now when I go to authenticate, okay, I'm going to, well, I'm waiting for passwords to pop up. So this is the one challenge with having lots of authenticators on your device, right, is they kind of step on top of each other. And so that's what's happened here. I need to convince passwords to show up. 1Password is, again, a little bit more aggressive with the web browser plugin. Passwords is a little more polite. It's a little more polite about it, right? And waits. So, but what you would see here is that, okay, this passkey that I've saved gets presented, and I'm off in. Okay, cool. So that's kind of the process. So let me go back to my slides. What has Apple done? So the key foundational technology is iCloud Keychain to allow these passkeys to move across devices and to make sure they're protected the entire time. It is significant that Apple has brought iCloud Keychain to manage Apple accounts just a year and a bit ago, right? So it was at MacDad, right here, a year and a bit ago when Jeremy Butcher was on stage and did a whole thing about managed Apple accounts, managed Apple IDs. And a lot of us were scratching our heads going like, what, that's all nice and everything, but managed Apple IDs aren't really that useful. And he made a comment then about, yeah, we built these two things in parallel, and we built a whole bunch of new services and infrastructure around iCloud Keychain, and we built managed Apple IDs sort of off to the side on a parallel track, and they talk to each other. It's going to be really, really hard for us to figure out how to bring those together. And we all left that presentation going, wow, okay, that's kind of depressing. It doesn't sound like managed Apple IDs are going to be any better anytime soon. And then 2 weeks later, right, at WWDC, they say, hey, we brought iCloud Keychain into managed Apple accounts. And God, Jeremy, like he was just trolling us the whole time, right, setting us up that they've done all this hard work. He'd spent all this time telling us how hard it was going to be. And it turns out they'd already done it, right? But bringing iCloud Keychain into the mix for managed Apple accounts opens up the possibility for using managed passkeys in a corporate environment. So then Apple's extended the device management service protocols, MDM, so you can control which devices can sync passkeys. You can restrict which devices can generate a new passkey, what sites they're allowed to do that with. You can restrict sharing passkeys across devices, and you can provide a passkey to a managed device. So adding those capabilities in on the Apple side means that they're potentially useful in a corporate environment. So how do you go about doing this? Number one tip, the path here is incremental adoption. You do not have to move everything to passkeys all at once in one fell go. You can take this one service at a time, one SaaS provider at a time, and implement passkeys. So do it incrementally. But first is SSO, right? You want to have single sign-on across your organization. If you haven't done that yet, it's time to get on it to implement SSO. Now begin to allow passkeys as an option to sign into services. The next, I took a long time to come up with an I word for this. I wanted to keep the alliteration going with all the I's, but I asked ChatGPT for synonyms for remove that started with the letter I, and it gave me eliminate, eradicate, and a bunch of other words that start with E, right? But I eventually landed on invalidate passwords. At some point, you would want to remove the passwords from systems where you have passkeys established, because now you've closed that potential entry point for a phishing attack or social engineering attack or something like that. So once you've got passkeys working, you would want to actively remove passwords from accounts on those services. Okay. There is a API in Safari, for example, to do that automatically or to help automate that. So what you'll start to see is websites will suggest, hey, you've been logging in with the passkey for a while now. You haven't used your password for 6 months. Can we remove it, right? And you'll be able to, the user would be able to approve that. But think about that for your corporate uses. Again, I just wanted to stick with the I alliteration here, but start ramping that up, right? Add it to more services, keep iterating to learn how that's working and what you can do. But adopting these technologies, adopting passkeys as an approach is going to provide several benefits. namely increased security, the reduction on the burden of your users to remember passwords, right? Because they're stored in these mechanisms on device and they can use them when they need them, but they don't need to remember all of the details. They can use their trusted device and their biometrics to unlock them and get access to them, but we all get stronger security as part of it. So that is passkeys and why you should use them. Thank you very much.
All right, over to Steve.
Oh, thanks for that. Okay. Well, thanks, Daz, for that amazing introduction. And now I have to follow Weldon's incredibly fantastic and technical talk with me talking about LinkedIn and I guess terrible memes. And I guess, yeah, so it's all about the fame and meme, really. So if you're not familiar, you know, it's all about Zoidberg, you know, you feel bad. But really, this is more about, you know, my LinkedIn profile is bad and I should feel bad. So it's been a rough few years in the tech industry. You know, a lot of layoffs, a lot of downsizing, few rounds of redundancies where I've been working. Things aren't good. And it makes you think, maybe I should be looking for other roles. But, you know, subtly, this isn't on live stream as it does. Yeah, so subtly, right? No one needs to know that you're doing that. And so this all started with my wife. It broadly said this. She said, well, I can't repeat what she said about my LinkedIn profile. She said it wasn't very good. We'll leave it at that. She said I needed to make it a lot better. And the things I've had a LinkedIn profile so long, I can't even remember when the hell I signed up for it and what the hell I was thinking. But I've had one forever. And it was very much this sort of MVP, bare bones. I exist. I have worked in some places. And that's all that was there. And I'm now sort of, if I'd known I was going to do this presentation, I should have screen capped the original rubbish one so you can see how much progress I may or may not have made. We'll see. But, you know, disclaimer, I am not a recruiter. I am not an expert in LinkedIn, as you'll see shortly. I'm just, you know, a regular Mac admin trying to make my way in the world, you know, trying to make my LinkedIn profile a little bit better to impress recruiters so they can hire me or not. Anyway, we'll see how that goes. So why LinkedIn? Well, of course, why LinkedIn? And the problem is, yes, we've got LinkedIn. So LinkedIn, well, I've let the AI explain it, but really it's the social media platform you're kind of required to be on. It's the grown-up work one, but it's also just as unpleasant and rubbish as Facebook is. But you have to be there because it's all professional and work and stuff. You know, I mean, it's a lot like this. If you spend any time doom scrolling on LinkedIn, sorry, LinkedIn, but it's true. Every day, doom scrolling. So why are we here? So this was on a real job advert. I won't name and shame. I won't. But they are so keen on LinkedIn. They're like, CV, resume. Don't even worry about it. Export your LinkedIn as a PDF and upload it. Like what? What if your PD? What if your LinkedIn's rubbish? Like, how are we supposed to do that? So so the question is, how do we make our LinkedIn a little bit better? So where do we start? So I asked the internet, and these days the internet points you at YouTube when you go on YouTube. I'm particularly thrilled I've caught Jeff looking particularly stupid in this slideshow. So Jeff Sue is like a productivity expert, Google person, loads of great videos. Don't listen to me. Go and watch Jeff. But the short version, he goes, how to get LinkedIn all-star status. So this is I call this profile picture, headlines, you know, keywords, things. So this is a good start, but then what do we do next? So great man once said, you know, oh yeah. Anyway, he stole it too. And famously, Picasso said, good artists borrow, great artists steal. But the idea is, yeah, fine, watch some Jeff videos, but actually go on LinkedIn, find some profiles of people you like, respect, grudgingly, you know, hate, but want to get a job like theirs. And go and look at their profiles and have a look. So here's a few people's profiles. My former boss, Tom, something or other, you know, my nemesis, If you're at Macaduck, you'll understand why he's my nemesis. It's fine. My former colleague, Adriana. So look at this. We've got, cool images, and we've got things, and we've got about sections. So some of the things that Jeff is talking about, in terms of making your profile pop. Also, in my sort of pep talk before this, my former colleague Breed, that I needed to big up her profile. So she is my LinkedIn guru. She's been giving me tips and pointers. And she literally told me, put my profile on screen. I need the exposure. So go and be nice to she's either going to be really happy with this or she's going to kill me. Anyway, I'll leave that on screen a little bit longer. But the big one, actually, when I was looking, is this thing. So LinkedIn profile, loads of different sections. And if we're talking about showing off, promoting the cool things you've done, featured is where it's at. So I've stolen this from Dr. Emily Kay, but this allows you to upload blog posts, conference talks, that time we presented at London Apple Admins and hadn't really prepared enough. But all of these things can go on here. And this for me is the biggest part of, of showing, promoting, not showing off, definitely promoting. Similarly, that bronze swimming certificate, anything you've done, anything that's credly, anything you get up here, why not? There's a gap. Proves you've done some exams and you know some things, or at least to convince some other people you know some things. And then because I wasn't getting any closer to making my profile like one of Jeff's 5-star ones, the desperation sunk in. I'm like, do you know what? I've got a CV. I'm going to grab some stuff from my CV, just put it in about. I've now written something. It's now not just this MVP, it's like this broken. The bit that I haven't done it, you're supposed to have your profile where you explain a whole bunch of stuff about you in a catchy thing that pops using AI without using AI. Haven't done that bit yet. And then, you can link it to Duolingo. I linked it to Duolingo, c'est très bon, n'est-ce pas? So there are things you can do to add information to your profile. You never know. I could yet get a job in front. I better not. 94 is not bad, to be fair, but anyway. You need to know. This is a really simple one, but kind of fun, that actually you can update your LinkedIn URL. This feels like a sort of cheat mode thing that by definition you get your name, random number of characters here, and they let you change it. So if there's any other Stephen Quirks, I've stolen this URL, which is kind of cool. What else? The other thing, a friend gave me this pointer the other day as well. Whilst if you're job hunting, train the algorithm. So her top tip, thank you, Claire, was, go through, don't apply for anything. Just say the job every time you're on, say the job with the things that you're interested in. Help train the algorithm, and it'll start recommending more of the things that you're interested in doing. So that was Claire's top tip. Doom scrolling. Interact with posts, like and comment and say. I'm struggling with that one, to be honest, but I'm trying. And then there's the whole create content, because LinkedIn is slowly dissolving into TikTok. Like, I know what TikTok is, I'm too old, but like it's all turning into sort of YouTube, Instagram. So create content, this is way too advanced. I haven't got there. This is the thing you can all do, and I will enjoy your content and interact with it when you create it, probably. What else? And then I was like, I'm rattling through this. So, as I say, interesting week this week. The slide deck could have been a bit more polished. So a couple of weeks ago, I had one of those calls. Have you had one of those calls? The calls where they read from a script and they tell you that your services are no longer required. So today was supposed to be my last day. And I was, so the plan is, join me. I was inspired. Have you ever seen that presentation where Greg Nagel got someone to press a button to promote Monkey to production? Like live on a live stream. Well, I'm going to see if I can figure out, join me as we update my open to work status, and we'll do it live. What could possibly go wrong? Nervous laughter. I've never done this before. Let's see what could possibly go wrong. Scream at the back if you know where I actually set this. On the right. Where am I looking? Where am I looking? What, right there? Right. Oh, see, see, I've got a Zoom thing. This bit, open to. That doesn't sound good either, really. So this is fun as well. Okay, so you know, we'll work for food, can deliver pizza. Tech lead. Tech lead sounds good. Can I be a tech lead? What the hell? I'll be a technical lead. Seems like a good idea. And you know what? We're going there. Okay. All right. I can say that you coerced me. It's fine. Shit. Yeah. Okay. Oh. I promise. Oh, hang on. What oh shit. Okay. Did that actually land? Did I press the wrong button? Have I? Oh, ladies and gentlemen. It feels good sharing with you all and my 486 connections. Like I said, so I think that's kind of, that was the big exciting bit. That's kind of me done. So as I say, not an expert. Grab me in the pub later and tell me all the things I'm doing wrong. Give me all of your fantastic LinkedIn pointers. Hire me if you're hiring. Thanks everyone. Cheers.
Cool. So, welcome to a bit of a special presentation. So today we're celebrating 10 years of London Apple Admins. We all got heads together and thought it's probably been about 10 years. Might be overdue for something like this. Then we realized that was last year. Hi, welcome to a special presentation. Today we're celebrating 11 years of the London Apple Admins. Typical London Apple Admins. So first, where did it all begin? Legend goes roughly 11 years ago, Ben Toms, Graham Gilbert had a thought. There's plenty of folks managing Apple devices in and around London. Why don't we see if anyone wants to kind of get together, share some thoughts, share some stories. After some creative thinking, and I'm assuming plenty of drinks, the first London Apple Admins meetup was devised for the 3rd of September 2014. Our heroes are looking much younger there. So, back in 2014, what did the Apple landscape look like back in those days? Jamf Pro was Casper Suite. Monkey 2.0 had just been released. macOS was actually OS 10, not OS X. And the latest version of that was 10.9 or Mavericks. Apple had announced, but not released, their first Apple Watch. Device Enrollment Program, or DEP, as we were told to never call it, has been released. iPhone 6, iPad Mini 3, so it's been around a little bit longer. Apple bought Beats Electronics. Apple announced CarPlay. They launched Swift. And they announced Apple Pay. Things that are probably quite a lot of those are staples now for a lot of us. Oh yeah, and who can forget? Everyone gets a U2 album. Everyone. Don't want it, don't care, you're getting it. So, that first meetup was held on 3rd of September at the Red Herring Pub basement in St. Paul's, London. What sort of stuff did we cover? So first off, we had a young Ben covering what the initial thought was behind these kind of gatherings, this meetup, this group that they wanted to spin up. Next, we have Richard talking about using Bash in your day-to-day work. Then we had Daniel Mintz from Casper, as it was at the time, now Jamf, talking about the recently released version 9.4. We had me looking, I'd say shorter, but about the same height. Slimmer, I'll definitely go for that. But talking about bit of time management as an Apple admin. We had Dave from AirWatch, who I believe is currently residing at Apple, talking about, well, AirWatch. We had Dana, over from America, to talk a little bit about the Mac-brained meetup group, sort of the worldwide organization. Then we had Gerard, also now resides at Jamf, talking about the typical tools you might have in your admin toolbox. And last but not least, we had Graham talking about using Docker in your general day-to-day use sort of administration. Off a little trip down memory lane, let's talk a little bit about the last 11 years as a whole. So what has that looked like? So we've had 35 meetups, an average of just over 3 a year. There was some scary years in the middle there with something to do with a pandemic or something. You might have heard of it. We had the pleasure of welcoming 61 different unique speakers. And we've been looked after by 20 unique hosts over that time period. What sort of topics have we covered? Well, lots on management and Apple, bizarrely enough. Also love seeing the fact we managed to get fun and profit onto that word cloud. For those who wonder, I took the titles of every talk we'd ever given at London Admins, chucked them into a word cloud, and that's what it kind of gave back to me. Windows is quite prominent in there as well for a London Apple admins, but we'll let it slide. Who takes the title for the most times they've hosted us? So third on the list is Capital One. Thanks, Ron. ITV and LSE, London School of Economics. The people who've joint taken the second slot is Jamf, Jigsaw 24, and Carnegie Up Iru. Cheekily, this is before tonight. That wasn't planned, but we're now 4 times. But we're nomadic for a reason. This is how we work. And 5 times by country mile is Thorwell. And it's all due to the hard work of Steve. Steve did all the organisation for that, making that happen, nagged all the people internally whilst it ThoughtWorks. And we're very thankful for being able to be hosted that many times. What about speakers? This is where it gets competitive. Who've been able to welcome back the most to do these kind of meetups? We've got lots of draws again. So number 3, Mike and Richard. They've both spoken 3 times each. Then with David and another Richard. David Ackland from Move IT now. They've both spoken 4 times. And the top leaderboard by people who are arriving very late. Ruin the whole flow. And the top, who's spoken 5 times at London Apple Admin event, is Bob. 5 credits to your name. Thank you very much. Neither do I. I don't remember this one at the moment. So we want to say a huge thank you to all of our hosts and sponsors over the years, without which we'd probably still be trying to find a space in a cramped pub somewhere or a wet and cold park in the middle of November. So first of all, thank you so much to all those sponsors and all those hosts. Thank you. And of course, even with that help, we still would be, you'd just be listening to us over and over again. As you can see by me completely screwing up this talk track, it would be a mess. So I'd like to thank all of our speakers, every single one we've had. You only got 1 appearance, no matter how many times you spoke. Sorry. But it is in order. Because you spoke once before today. So these were in order of number of, like alphabetical second, but first in number of appearances. But look, without you folks speaking, you know, we wouldn't be able to host an event. There'll be no value to sell to people attending who might have not attended before. It'd be difficult to kind of expand to where we are today. So that was actually 20+ slides. Thankfully, they went quite quick. More for me than you folks, but bit of both. But what's lined up next after 11 years? You made me doubt myself for a minute. There was a minute I was like, oh no. So we have a new logo. Wave goodbye to our old London skyline. Say hello to our new London skyline. It does come in both reverse colours and non-reverse colours. And expect to see those updated on our social media. Well, actually, about an hour ago, I did that while we were chatting away. We do also have stickers to go with this. Designed to work in the hexagonal standard that Dr. Emily Kay mentioned about on Mod Titan blog. I can confirm they've been tested with a baby, and Olivia rates them highly, as you can see by her lack of caring. This is my child. I haven't just borrowed someone else's. Anyway, feel free to approach any of us organisers to claim a sticker. I've actually put some out on the table. I have brought some other old stickers as well with the previous logo, as well as some leftover magnets I forgot I had. So feel free to help yourselves over from the table. We already also have our next meetup planned. So we're going to be hosted by the lovely folks at Jigsaw and sponsored by the lovely folks at Up Iru. So tickets will be up probably this weekend, if not early next week. Free as always. Please feel free to grab them. And more importantly, if you do grab a ticket, please try to attend. And if you can't, that's fine, but try to release those tickets so other people can maybe attend that want to. I'll say last but not least, but I've actually added an additional slide in a minute. But anyway, we need your help. As always, we're looking out for places that can host us with some refreshments. And we're also looking out for speakers. If you have anything even slightly technical that you'd like to share, and it doesn't need to be specific about Apple administration. We did do that special where we did lots of around Windows administration. Please reach out to us via Slack, via the website, whatever works for you, just please reach out. We're especially love to have folks who've never spoken before and maybe a bit nervous, would like a bit of help. We'd also like to people who've got talks where they want to try in preparation for potentially a conference talk. We're more than happy to be the testing ground for those ideas, to try and develop those talks into something you'd be happy to give at a Macadark, Maxis admin, etc., etc. Thank you all. We could not do this without you. One more thing. It is the season. This is one reason Graham gave for saying he couldn't be here. He was busy manning a Movember booth. As some of you folks know Graham's story, he suffered from testicular cancer, and he's since then been really prominent in promoting and working as much as he can with Movember charity. I believe originally founded to deal with sort of men's-related cancer, but also now spread out into more of men's general health, that kind of good work. So if you can spare anything, please feel free to use your QR code. If you don't trust me on the QR code, then feel free to use the link. And that will donate to Graham's campaign. I don't know what the right terminology is there, but to Graham's efforts towards Movember. And with that, I release you from your bonds. You may circulate, eat, be merry. But thank you very much to my employers, not just for employing me, but hosting us. I do like to be employed. It's great. I realize it's very ironic after Steve's talk. I do apologize. Thank you to the folks at Iru for hosting us. Take two, we'll edit that. Sorry, we don't have a James. Sorry, not James. But thank you very much for hosting us. Thank you all for attending, and hopefully we'll see you all next month. Cheers.